Unmute.
Hey, welcome to the Town Board Workshop Meeting Thursday, December 3rd, 2020. Roll, please.
Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Smoji?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
And due to the town clerk schedule, we're going to have the town clerk report first.
Good evening and happy December. This evening, I'm presenting to you November's sales for the town clerk's office from the period of November 1 through November 30th. The local share was in the amount of $587.75, with New York State Ags and Market totaling $34 and New York State Department of Health for Marriages license $45, for a total of our state, county, and local revenue $666.75. This evening, I'm presenting the building report. Building for the month of November is reporting they issued 14 building permits totaling $6,829, along with 2 renewals in the amount of $350. They're also continuing their certificate of occupancy searches for this month, and they completed 8 searches totaling $1,125, along with 3 fire inspections totaling $150 and 1 fireworks permit totaling $75, bringing the total month income of $8,529. This board, I am asking this evening permission for and asking you guys to reappoint Stephen Bernadette for the Board of Assessment Review for administrative reasons. It is a 5-year term. He was appointed back in October for the remainder of 2020 through 2025. If I could get that motion to simply reappoint. We are going to have his oath of office to be completed next Thursday, so he has already made that appointment with me.
I'll make the motion that we reappoint him.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Damian.
Discussion.
Supervisor Prodi? Oh,
Yes.
Discussion, please.
yep.
Is Steve not able to come in for interviews?
He's already interviewed us.
You guys reappointed him back in October. What had happened was he failed to come in and complete his oath of office within 30 days.
Oh, so he's already been reappointed.
He was reappointed. I'm asking for, the reappointment to take place again so I can have it in the minutes. So that way, when I conduct his oath of office, it's going to be within a 30-day period.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I had thought.
It's actually a procedural thing.
That's why I said for administrative purposes. I didn't want to blow it under the bus that he didn't come in and see me.
Yeah, but why didn't? Okay, I see. We already voted and it carried. Okay, got it.
Can I just jump in here? Someone with a 917 phone number has joined. Could they please mute? We're just hearing the TV in the background. I just jump in here. Someone with a 917 phone number has joined. Could they please mute? We're just hearing the TV in the background. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Board members, also this evening before we went live, you guys conducted interviews for a 1-position seat on the ZBA for a term of 1/1/2021 through 12/31/2025. Are you guys ready to make any actions on the ZBA?
Make a motion that we reappoint Paula Perosi for a, I believe it's a 5-year term to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Council members Gutierrez?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Smoji?
Yes.
Also this evening, you guys had the opportunity to meet and interview 3 candidates who were interested and expressed an interest on a 1-seat position for the planning board for a full 7-year term, commencing on 1/1/2021 to expire on 12/31/2027. Is the board ready to make action on that matter?
Yes. Vicki, did you want to make that motion?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we reappoint Matt Deister for a 7-year term on the planning board, contingent upon his completion of his training requirements by the year end.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
council members, Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris, Jim Morris.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Doyle,
Yes.
Smoji.
Yes.
Okay. Just as a friendly reminder for those that are watching this meeting, we did advertise for other positions, which include the Recreation Commission, Ethics, and our town's historian. If anyone's interested in filling any of those additional positions, if you would be so kind to send in your letter of interest. The town board does have another meeting one more time this month on December 17th. So hopefully if you guys can get those applications in, I can present them to the board ahead of time as well. And our last announcement for the evening before I run, the Amenia Fire Company's 9th annual holiday events. I did present it to everyone at our last meeting that it was going to be for tomorrow. It appears as though we have impending weather coming in. I don't know how many are watching. I do put on there a snow date. I never thought I would have to say because of a rain date, but because of the rain, we are looking to go ahead and switch from tomorrow night, Friday, to Sunday. So the same time we will be loading up right here in the center of town from 6 to 7:30. So once I go over and present this to the fire company, I'm going to go ahead and update Facebook and I'll put it on the town's website as well. And I'll change our channel 22. But so we're definitely going to have our holiday lights this year. We're not going to let the weather stop us. We want to bring that holiday cheer and continue throughout the month of December. If anybody has anything else or any comments or any other motions or reports that they look on sending, you can send it to me via email rather than in the chat section tonight so that way I can be sure I can include it properly in the minutes. All right, so I'm going to turn this over and give it to Erica.
Have a presentation by Christopher May. Can you
You're
hear
on
me,
mute,
Chris?
My internet dropped out for a second. Was that an introduction I just heard?
bud. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for having me. I just wanted to quickly introduce myself and talk briefly about a skateboard park that I have been dreaming about putting into Wassaic for a while. I created a PowerPoint presentation. I've never done this over Zoom before, so I don't know if the audio or anything's going to work, but I should be able to share my screen and do a quick presentation if that's okay. Let's see here. Oh, I can't share. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Victoria, while we're waiting, could you let me into the Zoom meeting and then I can see it on my screen?
Damien, do you know if there's a way to do that quickly? I can send it to you or...
Yeah, Victoria, is there a way to enable folks to screen share on your end as the host?
Yes. So I can just put multiple participants can share simultaneously? Is that what
Yeah,
I should choose?
try that.
Okay.
All right, Chris, give it a shot.
There it goes. Okay. Do a
There we go.
slideshow. Does that work? Everyone see that?
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
This is the first PowerPoint I've done since maybe high school, so proud of myself. So I'll just jump in and I'll talk as I go. So this is something that I've been thinking about for a very long time, and I think it could be a really huge benefit to WSAG. So a little bit about me. My name is Chris May. I'm 36. I was born in Wyoming in a town called Riverton, population of about 10,000. And at 13, some friends and I got together and advocated for a skate park in our hometown. And that's what's pictured here. Some kids actually shoveled that skate park to clear all the snow. That's how desperate they were to skate. It was a town, I think, pretty similar to the area we live in now. So what is a skate park? A skate park is a purpose-built recreational environment made for skateboarding, BMX, scooter, wheelchair, and inline skating. Basically, wheel sports or action sports. It's a safe space that's an alternative to team sports that encourages fulfilling physical activity outdoors, which I think is really, really important. Some of the health benefits: focus, self-education, determination, self-discipline, all the things that make skateboarding fun is the enormous challenge and tremendous reward that comes from skateboarding, not to mention how incredibly fun it is. I've been doing it for 25 years, so I'm like a grown-up kid. The physical exercise, it's aerobic, it's strength building, it's stamina building. The payoff for achieving a trick, I know I'm not talking to skateboarders here, but actually like achieving a trick that you're trying is like one of the greatest intrinsic rewards. It's quite an incredible feeling. There's social benefits, community involvement, sense of belonging, inclusion, social support, network friendships. And then there's tons of community benefits. I'll just go over it quickly. It helps keep young people in town, in a community. It's a social gathering place. It's like a great professionally designed skate park acts as an extension of the local skateboarder's specific needs. The skater builds a sense of ownership by participating in design conversations. And I've talked to a lot of kids in town who really, really want to see this happen. And I've talked to them briefly over social media just because of COVID, but we are planning on having design meetings about what exactly we want our skate park to look like, what it could look like, what we want, what we don't want, things like that. And if anyone wants any of this information, if I'm going too quick or whatever, I'd be happy to share any of this with you again. Economic benefits: skate parks help create a need for quality skateboard shops, and I've already talked to some people who are interested in starting one, and that's just like a bike shop. You sell boards, you repair boards, things like that. A professionally designed skate park will attract out-of-town visitors to spend money within the community. This is actually a huge thing because these modern skate parks are incredibly attractive to people from outside the community. A well-designed skate park can attract people from other countries who will come just to skate in that particular skate park and hang out in that community. It's an incredible draw. I actually really like this quote here. It says, "It actually becomes a draw for your community if you have a good skate park. Skaters want to come and try it. Never underestimate the power of a teenager to sway his or her parents' travel plans." And that's from Patty Ferguson, the city administrator for Armstrong, British Columbia. And a public skate park makes the community appear to be invested in the youth and active lifestyles. This will attract new residents to our community. And then I've had several meetings with the Tony Hawk Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that helps get skate parks built in small communities like ours. And they've built hundreds, if not thousands, of skate parks around the country. And this is just a quick, tell me, can you hear this? Is the audio working for everyone?
No.
No? Not. No, nothing? Operating. Okay. I'll send that link in an email, maybe. That video.
You could try clicking.
Highlighting. What's that?
That would be great. We can put it on our website.
Okay.
You can try clicking on the YouTube logo bottom right and see if it'll pop out and play, but no.
Is that working?
No.
No. Well, you can't win them all. Where were we? Okay. So one of the most common questions that people ask is about skate park liability.
Ms. Romney is one of those backing this bipartisan negotiation, and he.
New York recognizes skate parks as ordinary recreational facilities just like any other. The city should have no additional insurance burden. The larger issue is that youth are currently at risk by skating in the streets and lack of extracurricular programming. The skate park would help address this serious issue. And I know that's not as big a problem around here just because we don't have a lot of street skateboarders, but it is an incredible and powerful and healthy gathering place for kids. And the New York State insurance views a skate park the same way that it views like a basketball court. That the use of the facility is, it's covered already. Just a couple community comparisons. One is the town where I'm from. It's a population of 10,000, and they built a 9,000 square foot skate park for their community. Alberton, Montana is a population of 435. Now, I've actually been to this skate park, and it is so reminiscent of the Amenia Wasaic area that's actually what started getting me thinking about Wasaic getting a skate park of their own. It's a beautiful location, and because the skate park went in, they've had tons and tons of people coming into their town, spending time, spending money, bringing their kids, bringing their families, just to experience this one skate park. And it's a very, very small town. And that is about a 7,000, it's a 7,000 square foot skate park. And then Middletown, New York, which I just went to recently, they put in a 10,000 square foot park, and they have a population of over 27,500. Now, Passaic, Amenia, population 4,000, as you know. Dutchess County has 101,000 people under 24 years old. Litchfield County has 53,500 people under 24, and that's the greatest demographic for skateboarders. Wasaic Amenia is the center of this region, which is devoid of safe, effective, attractive skateboarders. I have done a lot of research and I've done a lot of driving, and there is nowhere that is safe and attractive and effective for skateboarders. And there are a lot of people. I have reached out and I've gotten a ton of feedback and excitement and encouragement. People asking how they can help, what they can do. People willing to donate their time, their money, just to have a safe and effective place for them and their kids to skate. This is a temporary placeholder design that I've been talking to this company in California that is a professional design and build company. And we think this would be the best use of concrete. And why concrete matters. These are actually pictures from a skate park in Poughkeepsie. It's very similar to the ramps that are in Millerton right now, and they're in a similar state. And why concrete is important is that that metal and wood can degrade so quickly it kind of becomes a hazard. And while tons and tons and tons of kids still use it because it's all they have, it does not last. It's cheaper and it degrades much, much quicker. In fact, most people in the skate park industry call these type of parks temporary skate parks for that very reason. And once concrete is poured for a concrete skate park like this one, then the only maintenance is like cutting the grass, taking out the trash, stuff like that. There is next to no maintenance fee, whereas these require constant maintenance and a lot of times removal. In fact, most of these ramps that you see here were in Dover Plains and were taken out because they were in such bad shape, and Poughkeepsie took them and tried to refurbish them, but they're not lasting. One of my goals that I would like to do, given that everyone likes the sound of this and that we want to move forward, is that I want to start a group, just a small group, a skate park advisory committee that meets about design, about fundraising, about raising community awareness, community support, all that, doing most of the work and all the heavy lifting. And that's my pitch in a nutshell. So I tried to go fast while also not taking up a bunch of time.
Well, thank you for showing it to us. This is a wonderful new opportunity for recreation.
Yeah. So that's my pitch. Or my introduction, rather.
Chris, you said you spoke to the Tony Hawk Foundation. I'm kind of familiar. They do give out some grants for these types of things. What's your sense on willingness of folks to give grant money for these types of projects? So these types of projects are about, I think, I've had several conversations with the Tony Hawk Foundation, and I think about 85% on average of the funding for successfully completed skate parks are funded by grant money, and about 5% is like grassroots fundraising, and then like another maybe 10% for private donation. So more like the vast majority is grant funded, and like a tiny sliver of the pie is like taxpayer money, and that's only in some cases. It's rare. So most of the funding is actually raised by grants. And the Tony Hawk Foundation, though they do give out grants, and we do qualify, I believe. I think we have a pretty good chance of getting that grant. It's not much, but you get a lot of international attention for it, which can then help your chances of raising more.
Does anybody else have any questions? Or
I got loads of information if anyone has any questions.
well, make sure you send us the link, and then we could put it on our website.
Yeah, for sure. I will do that. We have a spot, I think, that would be good for the park. It's we have a couple different spaces that we're looking at, but one in particular I think would work really well.
Now, are you going
right
to
up the rail
be
trail.
working with the Recreation Commission on this, or
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
you're going to be working with the Recreation Commission?
Yes, hopefully. I've attended several meetings. Linda invited me to the town rec meetings, and I've gone to a couple of them and met all of them, and they seem enthusiastic about it. I've also recently applied for a grant that would help me give free skateboarding instruction to anyone who's interested in the town, hopefully starting this spring. So fingers crossed for that.
Okay, well, keep us posted. Go ahead, Michelle.
My only question is, you're going to be running this skate park. Who's going to be overseeing it? You know, the kids that are skating. What kind of safety or police activity? What will we need as a town to supply to be sure that the environment is a safe environment, that there's some supervision as to who's going in? And also, the cost of this, once it's designed and implemented, will there be a fee for people to use the skate park to offset whatever expenses they may have to make with security or safety or something of that nature?
Well, first of all, the most successful parks around the world are free and open to the public without hours. And in terms of supervision, it's just like anything else. It's like a playground that kids can come and go as they please. Adults can come and go as they please. It'll be lit. It'll be open and visible to the public. And, as soon as you start, if you hire someone to watch the skate park, then the town is liable for anything that goes on there. Like if anyone falls and hurts themselves, sprains their ankle or whatever, then the town is liable. If there is no lifeguard, so to say, then it's covered by New York State Recreation, and the town is no longer liable.
Yeah, that's why I was asking those questions, because I just want to be certain about the town's liability.
Of course.
For these things, and
of course.
What people will be asking if they have to pay a fee or not, or things of that nature. So,
free and open to the public is 99.9% the best way to go.
But that's fine with me. And would there be hours like dawn to dusk or something?
That's pretty typical. Dawn to dusk is pretty typical. Some parks put in lights because around here it gets dark at
4:30.
So sometimes towns have lights, or they'll put lights on a timer so you can, lights will stay on until 9 o'clock or whatever. Because some people get off like me. I get off work. I work at a school. I get off work and it's already dark. And so, but these are decisions that can be made in the future. But yeah, in terms of staffing, it wouldn't be staffed. Ideally.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
It was the information that I just wanted to touch base with for myself, so I have an understanding. It's going to be free, open to the public. We'll designate hours and possible lighting will be available, and that the town has no liability to things. It's just like a basketball court or something else, a park or something that people play in and stuff.
Absolutely correct.
Okay, then that's great for me. That's a great idea. You won't see me on a skateboard because you can't see.
Never say never.
Oh, what a sweetheart you are! But, okay, but I think it's a great thing if the young people, kids, want to do it, and whoever likes it can do it. I understand I think I saw something on the TV. There was a man who was 90-some years old and on a skateboard doing, and I was
I used to teach skateboarding in the city, and a 75-year-old woman had her birthday party, had a skateboard birthday party. She was all over the place.
Oh, well,
great.
That's not happened with me, but thanks anyway.
See.
There's an option in my life, right?
Does anybody else have any other questions? Or? Well, you want to keep us posted as you move along with this project, and
absolutely. The only thing that I would say is that if the town gave the green light for this, that if we could, because it is mostly grant funded, the use of the town grant writer would help move things along a lot better, because I don't know if I can write all those grants myself.
Well, I could put you in touch with them, so.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Christopher, for a very enlightening presentation on skateboarding. I certainly learned more than I ever knew about it.
Glad I could be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Should I disconnect or do you want me to just hang out?
You could disconnect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, bye.
Thank you.
Okay, next I have the supervisor's report. 2020 Christmas Amenia Town Hall tree lighting. The 2020 Amenia Town Hall tree lighting will be held on November 5th at 5 o'clock. Rain or shine, we will have a pop-up in front of the town hall. The Town of Amenia Citizen of the Year will be announced and a certificate will be presented. Everyone is invited to bring an ornament to put on the tree. Masks will be required in addition to social distancing to keep our town safe. Please support local businesses while Christmas shopping and also give to food pantries during this time of crisis. Food pantry donations can be sent to St. Thomas Episcopal Church, 40 Leedsville Road, Amenia, New York, 12501, or on their website. It'd be STTHOMASAMENIA.com. South Amenia Presbyterian Church, 229 South Amenia Road, Wassaic, New York, 12592, or Immaculate Conception, Vine and Branches, Post Office Box 109, Amenia, New York, 12501. Town of Amenia, COVID-19. The Amenia Town Hall will remain closed, but will be available to departments by appointment only, effective on Monday, December 7th. Department extensions are posted on the front door. There is also a doorbell to the left of the main door. Each department is available by phone, mail, email, and secure lockbox on the building to the left of the front door. Town board and other meetings will be held by Zoom. Public comments for town board meetings can be made by email or mail sent to the town clerk, who will read them at the meeting. Public hearing meetings will be set up by video and telephonic conferencing, advertised with information about how to attend. Public comments for planning board and ZBA meetings should be sent to the secretary of the respective departments. Court will resume on December 8th with masks required, in addition to sanitizer and social distancing protocols in place. Please continue to wear face coverings and be mindful of social distancing. Also remember to not touch your face, wash your hands often, and use hand sanitizer. Be well and stay safe. And we have, I believe we have a housing board report. Is Leo out there somewhere?
Leo, I think you might be on mute.
What number is Leo?
We're on the phone. This is Tracy
Hey,
Zaladay.
Tracy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I was wondering if that was you with the 789 number.
Leo, I think is the
You guys
917.
What?
I think Leo is the 917 number.
Leo, are you on? Yeah. I just unmuted you.
Can you send the link to email or
I think he's on.
so that we can join
Yeah,
on our
that's his phone
computer?
number. Leo, you're on.
We're live. You're on the meeting for the housing board. Is Leo on? Is Leo the 917 number?
Yes.
Okay, I have him as asked to, whoops, where did he go? I unmuted Leo and he disappeared, so he can dial in again. Tracy, you want to ask him to dial in again?
I'm still here.
I know you are, but Leo is,
Okay, you can. Okay.
can you text him? Is he dialing back in? Because I don't know, all of a sudden he just disappeared.
I'm allegedly in the meeting.
Uh-huh, there he is.
Oh, you can hear me now. Okay, good. Good. Thank you. So,
What's going on with
okay.
the housing board?
Good. Now let me try to get the volume off. I'll turn off the volume on my TV so you're not hearing that.
No, we'd appreciate that.
Okay. Oh my God. So the housing board has been, oh Lordy, Zoom is so much easier when you're actually Zooming. Why is that, Damien? Anyway, the housing board has been continuing to meet and do research and stuff like that. I wanted to just quickly go through need and mission, and then we can talk about our progress and what we're doing next. The need we've talked about before, but it was established by the 2007 comprehensive plan and every study prior to that, saying that the greatest needs for the health of the town are affordable housing and a wastewater system. An analysis done by Dutchess County in 2019 said that 1/3 of all renters and owners in Amenia are cost burdened, which means they pay more than 30% of their income for housing costs. We had conversations a while ago with some local employers who stated that it's very hard to get and keep employees because they can't afford to live here. That's especially agricultural workers and hospitality. And there was recently a Pattern for Progress panel about the impact of COVID-19 on this area or housing in this area, and they said that the outflux from New York City has made residential costs even higher than they were. Unless there are any questions or comments on that, I'll turn it over to Tracy. Tracy.
Sorry, what, Leo?
Go ahead. You're next.
Okay. We were right. We were going to ask if anybody had any questions about those statements to that point.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has yet.
Okay.
Anyone has any
All
questions?
Right. Okay. And the mission for the Housing Board, we wanted to just review that the Housing Board is appointed by the Town Board and was set up through the Amenia zoning code to administer workforce housing or to oversee workforce housing administered by developers. Because we are not overseeing housing that has already been built, we are required, the Housing Board is finding that we need to research and look at policy and do outreach to try to find how to solve housing for the town of Amenia. The code has a ranked system which selects, first of all, income is one of the qualifications, and then beyond that, there's a point system for certain professions, and for people who are residents of Amenia or people who work in Amenia. We have also been looking at how housing can revitalize a struggling hamlet, how new infill and renovated buildings located in a walkable half-mile radius from the center can create a more lively economy. And in terms of the comprehensive plan, there was direction for location of housing within the town, and it directed creation of housing within the hamlet, but also within the gateways, the 4 gateways to the town of Amenia. So we have kind of realized that there are 3 different scales of housing that can be built, or 3 categories. They break down into compact 2 to 4 family structures for small groups, which might be built as infill in the hamlet core. The second group falls under a multifamily, larger scale development on bigger lots, and those might be out more towards the gateways of the town. And then we're also looking at accessory dwelling units created throughout the town, which might be created by the property owners themselves. So those are the 3 aspects of the Housing Board mission. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Okay, if not, I will move on to our progress so far and research we've done. Members of the Housing Board have gathered information online at trainings and from not-for-profit organizations. We have a pretty good sense now of relevant statistics, regional developers, successful projects elsewhere, sources of grants and expertise, incentives for affordability and community outreach. We've studied past reports, including the 2009 Hamlet Development Plan, which suggests starting with infill along 22-343 and Mechanic Street to concentrate the effort and densify the downtown. The Housing Board is still working with Hudson River Housing to assume responsibility for producing workforce housing. We expect their real estate department to visit before the end of the month to scout potential sites near the hamlet where they can build. There are other developers of not-for-profit housing that we'll probably be speaking to soon. I've been taking a 6-part Lula class through PACE about affordable housing, and that's connected me to leaders of regional organizations and local governments, including Fairfield, Connecticut, who developed a way forward handbook to engage residents. We had a recent session on accessory dwelling units, which is what Tracy was talking about. Basically what that is allowing a second unit on any single-family property. The Amenia Code already allows that. This could be a renovated garage, attic, or small addition. It's been called the gentlest version of affordable, low-hanging fruit, and the quickest because there's no change in neighborhood character, but education and incentives will be critical. And we're continuing to work with the Northeast Community Center and the Tri-Town Coalition to review properties, track government funds, and get general support. Any questions on that? And then we're coming into the home stretch, I swear. Okay, Tracy, you're up again.
We wanted to give you an overview of the next steps. We are nearly done with the online housing survey and postcard mailing to Amenia households. This is important because we're going to gather as much information from local residents about what their housing needs are. Once we have the surveys back, we will distribute and tabulate results and see what we can learn from the survey. After that, we'd like to organize a public meeting to introduce the Housing Board to the public and introduce the survey and what we've found out, and at that point probably get more information from the public that would add to that add to the survey. We would also like to explore incentives the town can provide. We've looked at other towns and examples of there are tax breaks, zoning, funding from revolving funds, and different regulations. And then once we get a sense of what incentives the town might be able to provide, then we might be able to form our housing goals. And this would involve assigning a timeline of a certain number of years and a quantity of units of each type to be built within that timeline. This helps us get an idea of how we would distribute the incentives, or how we would, how much the town might be giving up, and if there are tax breaks. Say if we're looking at 10 accessory dwelling units that we want to give tax breaks for, how much will that how much will the town be giving back to people for that? So at that point, it gives us a chance to do some math and see what the program would cost. Then once we know what our incentives are, we'd like to encourage the accessory dwelling unit program to existing property owners by doing a second postcard mailing to Town of Amenia residents to announce the program and give an address for additional info on the town website. That's one idea of how to get that information out. We would also be coordinating efforts with the wastewater committee, because that is going to be important to developers. It's a big deal if a developer can come in and have wastewater system. We plan to talk to local employers and get more information, more details on the housing issues of their employees and how it affects their businesses. We plan to include farm owners as well as businesses within the hamlet. We're meeting with developers. We've identified both large and small-scale developers to find out what they see in our town and what the potential is, and what things might they see as roadblocks, and are there changes that we need to do for them. We're asking housing advocates in the area for assistance in learning about financing, marketing, and construction. And we will be continuing to update the town board and the planning board and the zoning board on our efforts.
Any questions on that from anyone, or any comments?
No, if you could send us a summary of what you've spoken about.
Sure.
And your plan, that would be most helpful.
Okay, well, we were going to suggest sending the bullet points to Dawn Marie for distribution tomorrow. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Okay, that's easy. No problem. So we can do that. Yep.
I would also just like to thank you guys for all of the efforts over the last 6-7 months that I've been involved as the liaison. There's a dedicated group of folks working on this, and I just want to make it clear how critical a need this is currently. From where I sit and the folks that I speak with, on one hand, I have employers, restaurant owners in the hospitality industry, hotel operators, And then, even there's a local mechanic here in town that's been trying to hire somebody for almost a year now and hasn't been able to fill that position. There is a need from our small businesses in this town to be able to hire employees. And the absolute number one thing that I hear from those people is that the people that they would look to hire, or the people they currently have employed, live 40 or 50 minutes away because they can't afford to live in Amenia, and they're still, living with family or traveling long distances to work their job here. And, they are concerned about, their current employees, but also their ability to hire new employees as their businesses grow. So that's on the one hand from the business owners. And then, it's as simple as going on the Wassaic Amenia community page on Facebook, but you'll see folks constantly there asking, like, does anybody know of any affordable apartments in town? Does anybody, if I go on Zillow right now and I search for rental listings in Wassaic, I get one, and it's $8,500 a month. That's the one available rental listing that comes up when I search for rentals in Wassaic. And if you search the Amenia zip code, it's not much better. There was, prior to COVID, there was a dire need for affordable housing in this town. And post-COVID, as Tracy and Leo mentioned, the real estate market has heated up. A lot of people have bought, rental or have purchased houses that typically would have been possibly available for rentals. And the situation is even more dire now. And so I want to thank the board for incredibly important work that they're doing to try and help the gap. And I would ask the board if, possibly when they send along the bullets, if you guys could maybe distill or paint a picture of how we might as a town make some progress in 2021, next year, on the development or the encouragement of development of additional affordable rental units in the town of Amenia. I can't stress enough, it is probably the number one issue that I hear about as a councilman. Anything that we can do as a town board to assist our housing board with their efforts would be well valued by the residents of Amenia.
Damien, this is Leo. If I could make one more point. I think that one thing we have to do that is one of the reasons for our public meeting proposal is that I'm not sure that people in Amenia realize that this housing is for them. One of the things that I think COVID has made people really aware of is the kind of interdependence of people and the working people in the community. Teachers, volunteer firemen, nurses, post office employees, people who, keep the gas pumps or sort of drive trucks to get fuel. Those are all really important, and those are exactly the people that we can't keep in Amenia, or because it's just become too expensive. The housing is really targeted at seniors, veterans, recent grads, again, agriculture and hospitality staff, young families, really so they can afford to come here and or people who are here to stay here. And to bring sort of some additional dynamism to the town. The town has significantly fewer residents than it did 100 years ago, and I think what we want is to bring people back, and I think we really want to attract people who are either people who've lived here for a long time and need help, or people who are graduating Weebatuck and want to stay. and teachers, obviously. There's just a whole range of people that it would be to the town's benefit if we could make it easier for them to live here, and I think that's kind of the way we see our mandate.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that, Leo. You know, we do have less folks than we did have 100 years ago, but we have more folks than we did last year. And that's
true.
Anecdotal data, but you know, school enrollments, for example, are definitely far higher than they were in our surrounding area than they were last year. So you know, I just given the sort of the immensity of the problem and the urgency of it, you know, I would implore the housing board to continue to coordinate with, for example, the wastewater committee, with the planning and ZBA board as requested. I just would also ask that solutions that the housing board is exploring are not solely sort of gated by those much more complex, longer terms, you know, 10-year out sort of horizon wastewater projects, for example. So, you know, I think we could do both at the same time, and we should. And, you know, we should focus on making our hamlet centers more livable, and understanding that, you know, that's sort of one of the driving goals behind the comprehensive plan. But at the same time, you know, we just have an immense problem right now that merits nearer term action. So anything we can do to help address that would be huge.
Damien, I have a question.
Yeah.
Or to anyone there. Do you think that we should be reaching out to our state representatives to see if they, you know, to make them understand that we have this mission, and that we're going to be, you know, we're going to be looking for funding, you know, for the wastewater, for the housing? Do you think there's some kind of letter we should draft that is a letter that's the town board and the housing board writing to them to just say, you know, please keep us in mind if you know of any programs that we can apply to? I don't know, because that's been a big learning curve, is finding out what the funding resources are, and we are learning that, and we get a lot of that also from the developers. I mean, they're the experts on it, but I think for the wastewater, I know the FDA and HUD all have programs. I'm not as familiar with the state programs. So perhaps
Tracy,
we get help with that.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, if we could together draft a letter, and, you know, we're not alone here in Amenia. There's a lot of rural towns that are going through the same problems that we are. But, you know, Victoria has Mark Molinaro on her speed dial. We can ask her to help us. But we can draft a letter, you know, I think, as the town board, as the housing board, that just sort of describes really the immense challenge that we are faced with here in this town. Our fire companies struggle for volunteers. You know, we here in Wassaic, we couldn't staff our volunteer ambulance service. A couple of years ago, we ended up having to go to a paid service. Weebatuck enrollment for, you know, almost a decade now has been, you know, decreasing year after year after year, and, you know, that has a real impact on the remaining students and the cost per student that is, you know, distributed amongst all the rest of the taxpayers. So it's a real problem, and if we were to draft a letter, you know, maybe that could be one of our goals in 2021 or early 21, is to draft a letter for circulation to our county and our state, and, you know, possibly even our elected representatives at the federal level, to just kind of paint a very detailed picture of the struggle that we have here in this rural community to afford to offer affordable housing. Another option as well, obviously, we have a grant writer on staff. Victoria, I think you mentioned the CBDG grant this year had one of the target areas was providing grant money so that towns could purchase property to be used for affordable housing. You know, that is a great example, Leo and Tracy, of the sort of things that we could coordinate on together between the housing board and the town board to put grants applications.
I would think Hudson River Housing would have a good idea of what grants to apply for, since they apply for grants themselves.
Victoria, I was actually just going to say that. Again, the PACE class I've been taking, there have been a lot of not-for-profit housing developers who've spoken, and they are very often, I mean, it seems like they're in the habit of putting together a package with funding. So, I think that both on wastewater and on housing, there's a lot of resources out there. There are a lot of people who've been doing this for a long time and are really on top of the deadlines for grants and the various options for funding. So I think, Damien, in terms of 2021, I think if we can get the survey back, have a little bit more information, and have some conversations with developers, I think when we get to that point, I think we'll really understand what the roadblocks are and what the funding issues are going to be. And I think a letter at that point would be really a good move.
Yeah, I mean, like HRH is a great resource. Obviously, they do a lot of work in our county. One of the most recent projects that they've done that's proximate to us was a two-family home. Where was that, in Pine Plains, Leo?
That was actually I'm sorry, that was the Habitat for Humanity of Columbia County built a new two-family house, but Millerton actually has, I think, a 2 or 3 family renovated house right in the middle of town that Hudson River Housing manages, and they've been talking about buying some additional houses, or they've been looking at buying some additional houses in Millerton. They're thinking of a particular funding source that will really make it very possible to create affordable housing at a small scale, because that's sometimes very hard to do. So yeah, there's a lot of information out there, much more than I would have believed. I think we're at a place where we can start tapping some of those resources. So I'm pretty excited about what we should be able to do in the next year.
Yeah, agreed. And one final appeal, just for those out there, as Leo and Tracy mentioned, our zoning code actually specifies certain occupations that should be preferred for affordable housing. And Leo, Tracy, you guys could probably rattle those off, but volunteer, firefighters, EMS, teachers, hospitality workers, farm workers, those are actually all specified in our code. This is this is buying a lottery ticket, but if there's anybody out there that has maybe inherited a parent's house or something and is looking to make a donation for the greater good, that the donation of land, which is dedicated and set aside for affordable housing, that is sadly sometimes a necessary way that these things get built, because it's incredibly difficult to buy properties at market rate these days, especially now post-COVID. So if anybody's out there listening, keep the hardworking folks of the media in mind.
Great. And we don't want to take any more of your time, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew what was going on with the housing board.
Well, we
So thank you.
appreciate the update, Leo, and keep us posted.
Will do. I promise. And thank you, Tracy, for taking on the other half.
Of course. Thanks, Leo.
All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay. Now we can move on to capital assets policy. The Comptroller's Office requires each town and village to have a capital assets policy. I sent you the one that Ian and RBT, our municipal accountant, worked on based on the Comptroller's guidelines. And I didn't know if you had a chance to look at it because we need to adopt one. Basically, the capital assets policy designates all our buildings and land and capital assets that the town owns. We already have a software that's part of our enhanced accounting software to be able to record them, but we need to have a policy in place. So has everyone had a chance to look at it? And
Yeah, I looked at it.
Sorry, I was on. I did glance at it. It is a very long document. Ian, can you summarize maybe, or just tell us why this one was selected? Sorry?
I said the policy, our policy is 3 pages. What I sent you was the Comptroller's Office information.
Yeah, the management guide, right?
Yeah. But Ian, you want to go ahead with that?
Yeah, I can speak to this a little bit. There are, I mean, if you look at other towns, some capital asset policies are enormous and very convoluted and complicated. The goal here was to try to get something that was more streamlined, simple, and better fit our needs. This is what myself and RBT really came up with. And as Victoria said, the real idea behind this is to start tracking the capital assets of the town, primarily for financial reporting needs. In case of audits, it's extremely beneficial. That's why RBT has been really supporting this and backing this. But I think also largely for the town is just as far as getting on maintenance schedule for a lot of its machinery, buildings, etc. It really, I think, helps with that. And so that's why I think this is important to have, other than the comptroller requiring it. But again, my only suggestion in this policy, which I would raise to the board now, is on page 2. It's essentially paragraph number 4. It's the record keeping and maintenance aspect of this, and in there it puts in a requirement that all lists would have to be updated at least annually, and a written copy of that provided to the supervisor no later than January 10th of each year. Other policies I've seen have put that date a little bit further out. And I think the reason behind that is any elected officials would be coming in. They start the first of the year. Any appointments would generally start the first of the year. For them to have to wrap their head around this type of thing in the date in this is January 10th. It's kind of a tight time frame. So I've seen these pushed out to February. That was my only real suggestion on this, outside of what.
February 1st or February 10th?
February, mid-February. You can do February 1st, whatever the board would be comfortable with. But I just think that a little more time than the 10th, logistically, would be, I think, better for the policy in general.
I agree with that.
Okay.
So
What date are we looking at?
February 29th? I think mid-February, 15th.
Yeah, that's
February 15th sounds good. February 15th.
15th or the first business day after the 15th is fine. Who would be responsible for receiving these reports and basically administering this program?
now.
So, yes, Victoria.
Actually, I mean, as far as this goes, Megan already does this for the highway department. So any part of this that has vehicles or equipment, that's already been done. The numbers would just have to be put in the software. You know, I would work with the assessor's office and whoever else I needed to, you know, to get the value of the land and the buildings, and then just plug those in there. The software actually figures out the depreciation.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just a matter of plugging the numbers in. But, you know, we have to start somewhere. It's been a requirement for a long time, but I think it'll be a good thing to do to get off on the right foot next year.
If you had to look at a single paragraph in this to really outline responsibilities, it is paragraph 4, the record keeping. It indicates what would be needed, and who's responsible for doing that, and how the task is divvied up, so it doesn't all lie on the supervisor.
No, it'll be, you know, I would work with all the individual departments. But, you know, we have to at least get a policy in place.
It sounds good, especially just the base, like having a maintenance schedule for all of our capital assets. I mean, that would be a huge improvement over the current.
Okay, so so Ian can, what would we have to do, a resolution the next meeting to adopt?
Yeah, I'll make
the change in the date, maybe.
Yeah, I'll do that change as indicated, and we can prepare a resolution.
Okay. Okay, the other thing, does anybody else have any other questions or comments about that, or are you all good? We're good?
Good.
Okay, the 20, did you say something, Vicki? No? Okay, the 2020 CDBG grant. We have a $150,000 grant to finish the sidewalk on Route 44 to Beekman Park. What we need to do at this time is either decide whether we want to keep the grant, and if we do, then we need to send out an RFP and to get an engineer. And at that point, we would have to put an extension in to have it done maybe toward the end of next year or sometime. So
what's the downside, Victoria? Why can't we follow through on this grant?
Well, it's just that, you know, we have to spend the $150,000 before we, you know, get reimbursed, but I don't, you know, it's up to you if you want to, since we have the grant. I mean, do you want to just go ahead, do the RFP and what happens once we get an engineer, they would do the extension and work with the county to get the extension. Because they're giving us, we already have an extension on the sidewalk ramp for in front of the post office till next year, because COVID has kind of backed everything up, and the county's being, you know, very good about extending these projects. So if that's what you want me to do, we can go ahead with the RFP and get the extension for the project to maybe have it done next year sometime.
I would do that. I mean.
Want to do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
One concern would be it's a reimbursable grant, which means you have to have the money in the budget to pay for it. You have to actually have that in the account. and that to me is the only difficulty, I think, based on some of the budgetary issues.
Yeah, that's the only concern I had with, with the tight budget we had.
Yeah, but
Well, we have
ultimately, it's 100% reimbursement, right? There's no match. So this
Yeah, so take it out of contingency and put it in the planning board engineers line or something like that, just to make this work. I mean, we have contingencies for contingencies.
Okay. All right, so what we'll do is I'll send the RFP information to Ian. So we can send out the RFP. Crawford already has the contract to do the sidewalk, and they were very much interested in doing both. So I think, they would give us a very favorable bid, because they've done some really good projects for us before. But I just wanted to, make sure that's the direction you want to go since we have this. And I'll move forward with that with Ian.
Sounds good.
Resolution for Verizon Wireless contract migration and proposed plan changes. I think I explained that the reason for the contract migration is that Verizon Wireless is updating their contract with OGS, where the state bid has run out, so they're doing a new contract. That's what the contract migration is. And based on the migration, we're getting some very favorable rates that'll probably save us $69 a month in charges for the 2 tablets and the 2 cell phones that the town currently has. Erica, what would be resolution number?
Resolution number 60 of 2020.
Authorizing migration of Verizon Wireless contract, proposed cellular voice and data plan changes. Whereas the town of Amenia received cellular voice and data services from Verizon Wireless, which were purchased through the New York State Comprehensive Telecommunications Service Contract Group 770177 Award 20268, Contract PS 63766 through the New York State Office of General Service Procurement Services, whereas the CTS contract has now expired, whereas Verizon Wireless has entered into a new agreement with New York State called the Telecommunication Connectivity Services Contract Group 77017, Award number 23100, Contract PS 68692, whereas Verizon Wireless is now migrating all entities receiving services under the CTS contract to the new TCS contract, whereas the town of Amenia, in order to continue to receive cellular voice and data service through Verizon Wireless, as well as being eligible for additional and new lines of service, equipment upgrades, and access or usage discounts available under the CTS contract, must approve the migration to the TCS contract, whereas the proposed changes under the new contract, which are annexed here to, made a part of, will result in approximate savings of $69 per month for cellular voice and data services, whereas the town board of the town of Amenia has determined it is in the best interest of the town to approve the migration and proposed plan changes. Now therefore be it resolved that 1, the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the migration of the cellular voice and data services received from Verizon under the New York State Comprehensive Telecommunications Service contract to the New York State Telecommunications Connectivity Services contract. 3, that the town board of the town of Amenia hereby approves and authorizes the plan changes as annexed hereto, made a part hereof, resulting in approximately a $69 per month savings to the town. That the town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the town supervisor, the attorney to the town clerk, to execute any documentation that may be necessary to effectuate the migration and the cellular voice and data plan changes as set forth herein, to take any administrative and/or ministerial action as is necessary to effectuate the terms of this resolution. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll.
Who second?
Who seconded? Who
I think
seconded?
Michelle
Who's,
Yeah,
made the motion.
Second,
did you second it? Okay.
yes, second, yes.
You want to poll the board, please? Erica?
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilmember Doyle?
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilmember Morris?
Yes.
And Councilmember Samoji?
Yes,
Okay, Resolution 61, authorizing Town Board of the Town of Amenia to accept a donation to the town. Whereas pursuant to Town Law, Section 64(8), the Town Board of the Town of Amenia may take by gift, bequest, or devise and hold their own personal property absolutely or in trust for parks and gardens or for the erection of statues, monuments, buildings, or structure, or for any public use, such as terms or conditions as may be prescribed by the grantor or donor and accepted by said town, and provide for the proper administration of the same. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia would like to accept from Councilman Damian P. Gutierrez a donation of a 43-inch Samsung television to be used by the Town Board in connection with its televising and broadcasting of Town Board meetings and public hearings during the COVID-19 health emergency and for any other Town Board purposes thereafter. Now therefore be it resolved that the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, on behalf of all residents of the Town of Amenia, hereby gratefully accepts this donation from Councilman Damian P. Gutierrez for the purposes as set forth above. And I make that motion.
second,
Erica, poll the board.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilmember Doyle?
Vicki?
Sorry, I turned off my mic. Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilmember Morris?
Yes.
Councilmember Samoji?
yes,
If I may just add, apologies to my father-in-law, Piers Gardner, but the town of Amenia needed this TV more than you did.
We're not going there.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate the donation. There are no other matters that I know of. Town board comments?
I'd like to just correct your supervisor's report where you said that the tree lighting was November 5th, I think. It's December 5th, Saturday, December 5th.
Got the wrong month?
Yeah, you put it in your report and announced it. So I want to make sure people know it hasn't happened yet.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Are there any other town board comments?
I have no comment.
Anyone else?
Just want to reiterate, Victoria, what you said, if possible, please do shop locally this holiday season. Please also be safe. We are obviously having a resurgence of COVID in the county. These are challenging times, and there are a lot of folks out there who are worried about either their own personal health, their risk for exposure, or potentially at-risk family members that they may have at home. So please be respectful of that and wear a mask when in public. And everybody, please try to stay safe.
Is there any other town board comments? If there isn't, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for LT's contract negotiations and other litigation matters.
Second.
Council member Supervisor Prodi,
Yes.
Council member Doyle,
Yes.
Council member Gutierrez,
Yes.
Council member Morris,
Yes.
Council member Samoji.
Yes.
I'd like to amend the motion to add the deputy town clerk is excused and add the town attorney to the executive session and also Chris Bork.
Second. Do I need to second that?
Yeah, just and amending the original motion.
Well, I maintain my second.
And the same people will vote whatever they voted the first time around.
Okay.
I think that's okay.